before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Limitless Male says it's all fun and games until your testosterone plummets. Testosterone levels can start falling as early as age 30 with symptoms like no energy, poor sleep, brain fog, belly fat, muscle loss, and mood swings. If this sounds familiar, get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. We'll get you back in the game with more strength, energy, and confidence. When you feel this good, you'll wonder why you waited so long to get a free consult at Limitless Male. Get scheduled today.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to SmokingGunJerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Welcome in to the Corner 3, taking you around the arc of college basketball. From the NAAC to the Pac-12, the WCC to the SWAC. We cover it all now on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerrman.
Hey there. What's up, good people? Welcome in to the Corner 3. That's right, it's back, live, in living color, the one and only Corner 3 podcast. I know it's late August. I know football season starts tomorrow, officially with games. I know volleyball season starts tonight, just down the block from us here, actually at 93.7 The Ticket, down at PBA. AVCA First Serve Showcase, but there's always time to talk hoops. Nebraska basketball put out a tweet 59 days away, just a couple days ago. So we are just about 56, 57 days away from basketball returning to Pinnacle Bank Arena. I believe that'd be for exhibition season. Don't quote me on that. Either way, I saw a tweet telling me basketball's around the corner, and gosh darn if that didn't get me going. So here we are. It's the Corner 3. We will be talking all things Big Ten tonight. I think it's that time of the year where we will start diving into the Corner 3 conference preview series. We'll start with the Big Ten. We will take our time and find our way through the rest of the conferences, mostly the power conferences, which of course is a much different look than, football, right? There's a lot more power conferences that deserve some talking about. Not sure every conference, obviously not all 30 odd of them will get their own moment in the sun, but certainly the Power 5 will have the Pac-12 in, right, as it makes its triumphal return to college sports sooner than later. Definitely excited for that. This should be an interesting Pac-12 with the Gonzaga and the remnants of the Mountain West, but that'll be it for the future. As always, 402-464-5685. Got anything Nebraska, right? They are, of course, encapsulated here in the Big Ten. This is supposed to be a conference overview, but since we are just on stream with the Royals, just about 5 minutes away at time of recording from first pitch against the Tigers in Detroit, we can go as long as you want. As many questions as you have, many comments as you have, as much pushback as you have, whatever it is, let me have it. 402-464-5685 or on a stream. Leave a comment on Twitter, leave a comment on Facebook or on YouTube. I will see it and we will get to it throughout the course of the show. All right. So if you remember anything from last year, we break this down into a few parts. We will start out with the players. We will move on to the teams, and then we will move on to the coaches over the course of the next hour or so. Did not do the coaches last year, a wild oversight on my part. So we will have a segment, a portion of the show dedicated to talking about the coaches in the Big Ten. Let's dive into the players. Again, we'll do this very similar to what we did last year. I need this view. There we go. All right. Got a handful of categories up here first. We'll scroll through. So again, this is where you'll want to be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Allo Channel 961 to make sure you can see what's going on, see some fun spelling, some fun names that you'll need to get to know. We're going to start off with our Player of the Year candidates. First off, the returner. The no doubt needs to be in the conversation in Braden Smith of Purdue. Last year's Big Ten Player of the Year took the mantle from his teammate Zach Edey. Last year, Braden Smith, two-time All-Big Ten performer, not just a normal All-American, a consensus All-American, two-time All-Region team in the NCAA tournament. Career 43, 38, 83 guy. Career averages of 12.5 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists per game. Incredible year last year for Braden Smith. Led the Big Ten in assists for the second straight year. This time a career best 8.7 assists per game, against only 3 turnovers, a near 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, despite doing the vast majority of the ball handling. I mean, you look at this, playing 37 minutes per game. Braden Smith, 3 minutes of rest per game, still only turning it over 3 times, despite being the engine for so much of what Purdue wanted to do offensively last year. You see that All-American, all AP All-American, National Association of Basketball Coaches All-American, Sporting News, Basketball Writers Association, and one other first-team consensus All-American. Incredible for Braden Smith, who enters this year on the verge of 1,500, 1,000, and 500 of his career. He's 125 points away from scoring 1,500. He is 200, let me do some math here, 242 assists away from 1,000 in his career, and then he has already crossed 500 rebounds in his career. I think there are only 3 players in NCAA history who have gone 1,500, 1,000, and 500. Braden Smith certainly knocking on the door of joining that club. You might say 1,000 assists seems like a lot. Well, here's the thing. If Braden Smith does what he did last year, he will clear it with room to spare. Only 153 assists across 35 games as a freshman for him. But then he led the country in assists 2 years ago with 292 of them. The vast majority, of course, to Zach Edey there at Purdue. Also played the most minutes in the Big Ten that year. Then last year, same thing. Led the Big Ten in minutes, played 1,333 minutes, led the conference in assists with 313. And then, how about this? He pushes back on the narrative of, oh, he's a small guard. You can post him up. You can overwhelm him. Well, here's the thing. Braden Smith's wingspan is +5. That's huge. For a guy that is listed as a 6-foot guard, to have a 6'5" wingspan, he poked away 78 steals last year. Is he a lockdown guy? No. But he's a pest. He's really good off the ball, and he can do just enough. He is not a pushover defensively. The case for Braden Smith for Player of the Year, we'll get to this in the team portion as well, is that he has maybe the best returning two-man game in the country with Trey Kaufman-Renn, who probably should be in this Player of the Year conversation as well, but I, A, limited it to 3 players, and B, I think that Trey Kaufman-Renn benefits more from Braden Smith, right? I would say Trey Kaufman-Renn is the system guy, and Braden Smith is himself the system in more ways for Purdue, but that's not to discount the leap that Trey Kaufman-Renn took last year. Braden Smith's going to be the best player on the preseason pick to be the best team in the Big Ten. Pretty open and shut case for Braden Smith as Big Ten Player of the Year. We'll stick at the point guard position for the next guy on my list. Bennett Sturtz of Iowa, by way, of course, of Drake, joined his coach Ben McCollum in taking the drive from Drake down to Iowa. Last year at Drake, 2024-25 Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. Obviously, all-conference team, all-tournament team, and Arch Madness MVP, helping Drake win Arch Madness and head on to the NCAA tournament. 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 5.7 assists per game for Bennett Sturtz on essentially 50-40-80 splits. 49.8% from 2, 39.5% from 3, and 79.4% from the free throw line. He's a 6'4", 180-pound guard out of Missouri. And the difference between Braden Smith and Bennett Sturtz, number one, the size, right? Sturtz is a little bit taller, doesn't have the high major experience, right? Just coming from Drake. The other thing about it to keep in mind is Bennett Sturtz played at a much slower pace than Purdue, right? Purdue is constant movement. It's whirring, it's buzzing, and Ben McCollum's offenses will do some of that. But Drake was very deliberate. Purdue wasn't afraid to get up and down, get Braden Smith running in transition. Trey Kaufman-Renn certainly mobile enough to go end to end. Purdue played fast. Drake played slow. So yeah, Braden Smith had, 300 odd assists last year. Bennett Sturtz not too shabby in his own right. 200 assists for him in that more deliberate system. Similar number of games played. Bennett Sturtz actually played more minutes than Braden Smith did. Not by many. It's essentially a rounding error. But Bennett Sturtz both took and made the most field goals in the Missouri Valley Conference last year. That's pretty incredible. He's the leading scorer for the Missouri Valley Conference while also leading it in assists and leading it in steals with 72 of them. Two very, very similar players in Braden Smith and Bennett Sturtz. Really curious to see how the transition to the Power 5 level goes for Ben McCollum and, of course, for Bennett Sturtz, who had some NBA draft buzz, some NBA draft love, decided to stay in college and prove it then at the high major level. That gets us to the guy that I'm going to pick as the third Player of the Year candidate. Of course, there's so many of them, but Yaxel Lindeberg. If you don't know this name, get familiar. Walking double-double. 17, 11, and 4 last year for UAB on 52, 36, 76 shooting splits. For his career, 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. He's the do-it-all, jack-of-all trades, ball-handling, stretch big who can also still post you up. Oh, and by the way, defend. Not only was he 2-time All-American Conference player, all-tournament team, last year's American Conference Tournament MVP, he was the 2-time American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year. 6'9", 230, better in the post, but switchable enough on the perimeter. What a get out of not just the transfer portal, but the NBA draft process for Dusty May in Michigan. There's a lot to like about how this Michigan team is built. I think Yaxel Lindeberg is going to come in and really take the league by storm. He's not rink masked. He's different than Rink Mass. That'd be the easy comparison for Nebraska fans to make. They're very different players. I'm excited to watch Axel Lendeberg play in the Big Ten this year. If you didn't watch him at UAB, you missed out. I'm very sure that his game is going to translate. All right, those are my Player of the Year candidates. Now, some impactful transfers in to different degrees. Nick Boyd at Wisconsin. I'll touch on him briefly. He was really the tip of the spear defensively in a lot of ways for San Diego State. Wisconsin's going to need some help on the perimeter. John Blackwell, not the best defender, right? Essentially, Boyd will be filling the John Tonje role. Tonje was fine, not anything to write home about. I think Boyd will be an improvement there. Andrei Stojakovic going to Illinois. He's got the Greek European combo last name, of course, son of Peja Stojakovic, a lot of you might know as a former member of the Sacramento Kings. He was a stud playing in the ACC. He put up some really big numbers on a less than stellar team out there in Cal after he transferred there from Stanford. I had to make sure I got my numbers right. 18 points, 5 rebounds, couple assists per game last year. 3-point shot hasn't exactly come around. He's only shooting 32% for his career. That's what he hit last year. But a career 76% free throw shooter, 82% mark last year leads you to believe that, number one, the shooting stroke should probably come around. My guess is he'll be playing a more conducive role for him where he won't be asked to create for himself nearly as much at Illinois as he was at both Stanford and at Cal for that matter. But he has it in his bag, right? He's gotten a lot of those on-ball, tough creation reps his first couple of years. Wouldn't surprise me to see Andrei Stojakovic, be in the top 5 in the Big Ten when it comes to scoring in points per game. I think he's that good. That was a top 10, I think, top 15 recruit coming out of high school, all ACC tournament player performer last year. Kid's a stud. Part of the foreign brigade. I mean, he's from California, right? He's not foreign, but of course he has those roots, and it fits in with all the other dash ICs, the itches that Illinois head coach Brad Underwood recruited, who we will certainly get to coming up here in the coaches and teams section. Christoph Tilley at Ohio State, much different style of big man than they had last year. You think about the move from Aaron Bradshaw and Sean Stewart to really good jump out of the gym type athletes to Christoph Tilley, who's a good enough athlete. He's more in the Rink Mass mold, right? He's, close to a double-double guy transferring in, good, solid positional rebounder, a little bit of stretchability, enough pass ability, not exactly going to lock it down on the interior, but fine positionally. That's a really intriguing pivot for Jake Diebler, not John Diebler. I always get him confused. It is Jake Diebler, who is the head coach at Ohio State. Really like that get for them to pair with a high-powered backcourt duo that, again, we'll get to coming up here in just a minute. I mentioned Purdue. I mentioned Trey Kaufman-Renn. We still got plenty more Boilers to talk on this show because another, I think, impactful transfer in for them will be Oscar Clough. First of all, fantastic name. He's an Aussie from the Sunshine Coast there in Australia. All Summit League last year after transferring to South Dakota State from Washington State. He was all defense in the Summit League, averaged 18 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists per game on 64% shooting. Knocked down a couple threes, not exactly a huge threat from out there, and 78% at the free throw line. Oscar Clough is essentially the Australian version of Axel Lendeberg, who himself is a foreign import at one point. I mean, a player efficiency rating for Oscar Clough of 35.2 is obscene. Obscene numbers from Oscar Clough, who will, I assume, play alongside Trey Kaufman-Renn quite a bit. But there's a third player in that front court rotation for Purdue whose name should sound familiar from last year, but didn't see the court at all due to an injury. So Clough, with his little bit of outside shooting ability, certainly his passing ability, and I think his defense is going to come into play for a Purdue team that was wretched on the interior defensively. You got the ball in the paint, it was probably going in against the Boilers. Now, if you were Nebraska, unfortunately for the Huskers, that was a little bit of a different story. But that's why High Point was able to stick in the game a lot against Purdue last year. Teams with with penetrating guards and some post-up big men, gave Purdue some fits defensively. They weren't very good defending the rim. Oscar Clough and the next guy we'll talk about from Purdue will end up making a big difference for them on the interior. And that was really the one Achilles heel. That was really the one kryptonite for the Boilermakers last year. It's rarely as simple as plug and play. Who knows? It could be for the Boilers, thanks to Oscar Clough alongside Trey Kaufman-Renn. Then the other impactful transfer in that I think is worth highlighting, Donovan Dent at UCLA. Super highly sought after guy out of New Mexico. Of course, he leaves, as does his head coach, to take new jobs. Donovan Dent, of course, at New Mexico for the last couple years. Player of the year in the conference last year, two-time all-conference performer, all-tournament team last year. In 35 games, put up 20.5 points, about 2 rebounds, and 6.5 assists per game. Again, a very high usage point guard for the Lobos on really good splits. 49% from 2, 41% from 3, and 78% at the free throw line. Why is he such a big deal for UCLA? Because Mick Cronin could not find guards that he trusted last year. Not in the slightest, right? I mean, Tiger Campbell was gone at that point, I believe. You're talking about Sky Clark in that rotation for UCLA. Never really locked down a job. Trent Perry wasn't everything that they thought he could be. And they just bounced back and forth between so many guys. They had like 4 or 5 guys I remember talking on our preview show about UCLA. If this guy steps up, if that guy steps up, if 2 of them, maybe if 3 of them, they never got that. Instead, what they get is one of the country's leading scorers with 20.5 points per game. Guy who took pretty good care of the ball, more than a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio last year, will compete on defense and can knock down a shot. UCLA had so much going for it last year, year 1 of the Big Ten. It did not have lead guard play. I feel very confident in saying that they got that fixed by going out and getting Donovan Dent. Moving right along in the players section, impactful transfers out, really, Illinois' whole team. Mackenzie Mbako, gone. He is at Texas A&M. Malik Renew, gone. He is at Miami. Umar Ballo, gone. He is out of school, out of eligibility, entered the NBA draft. Then you look at Miles Rice, who also transferred out. I believe he landed in the conference. Yes, he landed at Maryland with new coach Buzz Williams, who we'll talk about. 4 really big, really important players for Indiana last year, all of them gone for first-year Hoosier head coach Darian DeVries. Desmond Claude did so much for USC last year. We saw him down the stretch against Nebraska. When he's at his best, Desmond Claude is a stud. Transferred in from Xavier to USC, now USC to Washington. Didn't love that departure for Eric Musselman. I get why Desmond Claude would do it, but USC is going to be a team to monitor. We'll get to them in a little bit. And then Lathan Somerville, going from Rutgers to join Desmond Claude up at Washington. That's a top 100 guy, I believe, that Rutgers got. Really took a back seat behind the Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey show last year, which on the one hand makes some sense, but that's a piece I thought Rutgers really, could have built around for the couple of years to come as they get back to more of the Steve Peichel defense first identity. But he walks out the door, says, I've had enough. This isn't for me. And he's headed up to Seattle to join forces with head coach Danny Sprinkle. All right. From the impactful transfers out to the all-freshman team. Here's the other guy for Purdue that I was going to talk about, in the front court at least. Daniel Jacobson. 7'4", white dude. Matt Painter has a type. It is Daniel Jacobson. It is Zach Edey. It is Isaac Haas. It is, who's the other guy? I can picture him in my head. Got the really spiky hair. Ended up transferring out to BYU. Isaac Harms. There we go. Isaac Haas or Matt Harms. Sorry. Yes, Harms. Daniel Jacobson is next in the list. Was going to play minutes for Purdue last year. Ended up getting a knee injury. Had to miss the year. He was going to be, in a lot of ways, the ointment to put on the gaping wound that was the Purdue Boilermakers interior defense last year. He's going to play a big role. He's going to be very important, probably backing up Oscar Clough. But I think Daniel Jacobson, once he eases in, will have a key situational role to play for Purdue this year before really taking over in 2 years. Darius Adams, stud, highly rated freshman going to Maryland. Curious to see how Buzz Williams' track record with freshmen turns out when it comes to Darius Adams. Here's another Purdue guy, Oerrman, Israeli import, will play alongside, will learn from Braden Smith. This dude was dominating the youth circuit for the Israeli national team and other teams that he played on in that age range. Dude just stud. He can knock down shots off the dribble, he can get to the cup, defends. He's bigger than Braden Smith is, right? He's more in that 6'4", 6'5" category, I believe. So you can play him and Braden Smith together, maybe even at the 3. With Fletcher Lawyer at the 2 is going to be a big part of things for Purdue, as he has been for the last couple of years as well, knocking down shots. Oerrman is going to be the next guy, right? Purdue isn't going to wait till Braden Smith is gone to replace him. They're bringing in his understudy now. If Oerrman is not a one and done, he is going to be a problem in the Big Ten for at least next season or the next 2 seasons. If not, maybe have a full 4-year career a la Braden Smith, and then probably carve out a high-level role for years to come in the professional levels. Pardon me as my Diet Mountain Dew sustains me. J.J. Mandequit at Washington, he's going to have a chance to put up some big numbers on a team that's going to need that from the guard. And then Caden Mingo, same thing at Penn State, right? Those guys are going to be the big numbers, bad teams guys that I'm going to hang my hats on, right? Mandequit is going to have a big role to step in at Washington with some transfers out and departures, especially with Great Osibor. The number of shots and usage that he took. JJ Mandequit is not the same player at all, but will step into a lot of those shots. Kind of same thing for Caden Mingo. I don't think it's going to be a very good year for Penn State. I think he'll put up some numbers. It just won't necessarily affect winning. 2 more categories to get to for the players before we take our first break of the show. Key returners to their team did not transfer, stayed on the same team that they were on last year, or in the case of one player, really 2 years ago. So number 1, Purdue's whole entire roster. They bring pretty much everyone back. And Daniel Jacobson. And Oerrman. Purdue was really good last year. They're going to be even better this year. They are a worthy preseason, certainly top 5 team. Wouldn't shock me if most people have Purdue at number 1 entering the year because they bring everyone back and they add to it in ways that they were missing last year. Here's the Rink Mast mention. He returns from injury, right? Of course, he was with Nebraska last year, but missed it due to the surgery and the rehab from it on his left knee. Rink Mast just ties so much together for Nebraska in so many ways. Obviously, offensively, being able to handle the ball, dribble it up the court, initiate offense, find cutters. I was watching Rink Mast highlights after Nebraska posted his road back video. I mean, Nebraska was setting all sorts of perimeter curl screens. They were setting flares for Rink Mast. You just don't see that for 6'10", 6'11" big men who can shoot it the way Rink Mast can. That is unnatural. That is uncommon. It can't be said enough how important Rink Mast's return is for what Fred Hoiberg wants to do at Nebraska. Look at Nick Martinelli back for another year, his old man flip game at Northwestern. We'll get to this in the team section a little bit, but Nick Martinelli and Bryce Williams really went back and forth at the top of the Big Ten points per game leaderboard last year. That's another guy that I think is going to put up some numbers for a team that was decimated by injury last year and then really has to rebuild, right? Not just reload for Northwestern. They lost a lot, but they didn't lose Nick Martinelli. He will put up numbers for the Cats this coming year. Then we get to a couple of trios that are key returners for their teams, and I couldn't separate them because just how important they are to each other's success. You get Bruce Thornton, Devin Royal, and John Mobley Jr. for Ohio State. Bruce Thornton, the old Grizzly veteran, incredibly efficient. That's a 50-40-90 challenging type of guy. You get John Mobley Jr., the flamethrower from long range, 90+% free throw shooter, and Devin Royal, can go back and forth, between the front court and the back court. Just does so much of the little stuff, so many of the little things to tie that duo together. How they interact with Christoph Tilley will determine the ceiling for this Ohio State team on. I think they could be one of the better offenses in not just the Big Ten, but in the country, really behind Thornton and Mobley. And when you have one lead guard that can go get you a bucket, you're in pretty good shape. You have two, you start to get dangerous. And then if Devin Royal provides anything as well, yes, I am begrudgingly in on Ohio State. And then we get to maybe the best two-man duo this side of Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn. And that's Nate Biddle at center and Jackson Shellstad at point guard for Oregon. I also threw KJ Evans in here as well. I think he's got maybe a leap left in him, and him coming a long way would give Oregon, a dependable player at all three levels. They didn't really have that on the wing last year. Shellstad's a go-getter. He's a bucket. Biddle is a pretty true center, right? Lumbering oak tree type of guy. And not terrible mobility on the perimeter, but he is setting screens. He is rolling to the rim. He'll pop, once every 10 or 15 possessions. But man, watching Shellstad and Biddle work together so well last year really propelled the Ducks. They're going to be the engine for Oregon as Dana Altman looks to continue to, make it to the second weekend. That's really been his quest. Oregon doesn't get bounced in the first round. Happens a lot in the second round or in the Sweet 16. I think another year for Shellstad and Biddle is going to be massive for Oregon, who has some real questions on the wing, has some real questions about depth, but you have two guys like that, they will keep you in every single game. All right, one more category to go in terms of the X factors when you look at the Big Ten. First and foremost for Iowa, an X factor for them would be Alvaro Folgueras. He was the player of the year in the Horizon League last year for Bobby Moe, Robert Morris. 14 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists per game. He's a guy out of DME Academy in Florida by way of Malaga, Spain. Why is he an X factor? Well, you think about everything Iowa lost. As Fran McCaffrey departs, Josh Dix, gone. Owen Freeman, gone. Price Sanford, gone. What Alvaro Folgueras can do is step into the Owen Freeman role, and I would argue be an even better fit for what Ben McCollum wants to do. What Owen Freeman couldn't do was stretch the floor, right? Stand still, wide open, no one within 20 feet of him. Sure, he'll cast. We'll see how it goes. Folgueras, complete opposite. 55% overall shooter, but 41.3% from three on 3 attempts per game for a versatile do-it-all big man who had 3 assists per game as well. Now, a little turnover prone as he handled the ball more last year, averaged over 2 turnovers per game. But I think the depth of the two-man game that Iowa will be able to run with Bennett Sturtz and Folgueras, if they click, if Folgueras translates up from Bobby Moe, that goes such a long way for Iowa crafting an efficient offense. It's going to look different than Fran McCaffrey. They're going to play slower. That's how Ben McCollum has always done it. But Iowa might be just as efficient. A lot of that will come back to that two-man game, like I said, between Sturtz and Folgueras. I just have a few more questions on the up transfer from the 6'9", 215-pound postman. Then we get to Miles Rice, transfer to Maryland. I have a hard time holding what happened at Indiana against Miles Rice last year. There was a lot going on. Everything was a lot at Indiana. Miles Rice needed to be better for Indiana to take another step. But was it Umar Ballo's team? Was it Mackenzie Mbako's team? Was it Malik Renew's team? Was it Miles Rice's team? Was it Mike Woodson's team? There were a lot of questions for Indiana. I'm going to cut Miles Rice some slack. He has got a great chance to step into College Park and give them Jacoby Gillespie 2.0. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's an option on the table. Another X factor for Michigan is going to be Elliot Cadeau, point guard who transfers in from North Carolina. One of the best passers in college basketball. Super fast, crafty, can pass off a live dribble with both hands. The one thing he cannot do is shoot. The other thing he cannot do is beat streamers in one-on-one. Duke really had no issues with Elliot Cadeau last year. Not the biggest guy, but as we'll get to in a little bit, the swing issue for Michigan this year is going to be its shooting. Not a whole lot of proven outside shooters on that roster, including Elliot Cadeau. They've got some guys who need to make a leap. If Elliot Cadeau can get to 33% as a three-point shooter, even that's big, right? Asking him to improve to 35 or 36% in one offseason would be a huge ask. Not expecting that from him. But if he is even a somewhat credible, somewhat respected, take one extra step toward him three-point shooter, that goes such a long way for Michigan and spreading the floor and letting him do what he does best. Get a step on his man, start getting downhill to the rim, and distribute. Also at the guard position, maybe not point guard, maybe a little bit of point guard, DeMarcus Lawrence from Nebraska. Of course, he's at Nebraska on the tournament team. He transfers out. He goes to Rhode Island, takes on more of a lead guard role, and then he's welcomed back to Lincoln this offseason. If DeMarcus Lawrence understands his role and is willing to play it, I think Nebraska missed DeMarcus Lawrence's first step, his on-ball creation, abilities, his quick first step. He was fast. He was athletic. He would get out in transition. Could absolutely knock it down. That's a mid-30s plus three-point shooter at Nebraska and Rhode Island. DeMarcus Lawrence is, I think, a lot of what Nebraska needed last year. Can he provide it, or do they run into the same headaches and same issues they did 2 seasons ago? We'll have to see. Which brings us to Tucker DeVries of Indiana. Missed last year with a shoulder injury, right? Tried to play through it a little bit, shut it down, got the medical red shirt, I believe. He follows his dad, Darian, to Indiana. Was a mid-major player, obviously at Drake, where he started his career. Put up pretty good numbers for West Virginia before the injury happened. You could kind of tell when it happens, numbers fell off a little bit. But that's a 6'7", 6'8", versatile, handling wing. Can shoot it from three, can create for others, can get downhill, can play enough defense. If he's healthy, and if he's the best player on Indiana's team, I think that goes a long way. He's certainly the most versatile player on Indiana's roster, the most versatile position there of small forward. But if he's just an off-ball, Liam McNeely type of guy, what he was supposed to be for Indiana before he went to UConn, and someone else has to be Indiana's best player, really depends on who that would be. Probably have the most confidence in Tucker DeVries since he's played at the high major level and upper mid-major level of stepping into that role. But is he able to do it coming off of injury? And, not that basketball doesn't mean anything to Drake, or that it, doesn't mean anything there in Morgantown. But, in 49 other states, it's just basketball. This is Indiana. This is a hungry fan base that made a really good hire, that got some good talent in the door. I really like a lot of what Indiana did. I just think Tucker DeVries is the glue that holds so much of it together. If he's good, Indiana will be good, will be an NCAA tournament team. If he's not, and other people have to step up into uncomfortable roles, it'll be another bubblicious or NIT/crown year for the Hoosiers. We'll go to break. We'll shift the focus from the players to the teams. I'll give you generally how I think the Big Ten is going to shake out this year. All that straight ahead on the Corner 3.
Harvest season is coming, and Acres has discounted many of our late model John Deere combines. Get thousands in discounts and upgrade for this year's harvest. Plus, you could save even more with interest rates starting as low as 1.9% on select units. Low interest rates combined with our huge discounts, there's not a better time to buy. Visit acres.com for all the details. That's AKRS.com. Restrictions apply. Offer ends August 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change at any time without notice.
Hey fans, there's more winning at Amigos with the VIP Game Day giveaway. Every app scan is your chance to win premium tickets to a Nebraska football, basketball, and volleyball game, along with exclusive game day perks. And when Nebraska goes to a bowl, the winner also gets 2 tickets, lodging, and airfare to the bowl game. Weekly semifinalists will win free food for a year. Go Big Red. Eat at Amigos and enter to win.
Amigos is celebrating 45 years with exclusive Nebraska Legends collectible cups featuring Tom Osborne, John Cook, and some of your favorite Huskers. For every cup sold, 50 cents goes to teammates. Show your Big Red pride by getting all 4 of these collectible cups at Amigos.
This is Tom Osborne with the Teammates Mentoring Program. We have students on the waiting list for a mentor, and we want you to join the team. Learn more about mentoring and support teammates by visiting Amigos.
An overdose can happen in front of you and you might not realize it. Blue lips, slowed breathing, pinpoint pupils, choking sounds, unresponsive to touch or sounds. These signs aren't always obvious, but they can be deadly. Knowing what to do could save your friend, your neighbor, your child. Learn more by visiting myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can be ready before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Limitless Male says it's all fun and games until your testosterone plummets. Testosterone levels can start falling as early as age 30 with symptoms like no energy, poor sleep, brain fog, belly fat, muscle loss, and mood swings. If this sounds familiar, get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. We'll get you back in the game with more strength, energy, and confidence. When you feel this good, you'll wonder why you waited so long to get a free consult at Limitless Male. Get scheduled today.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Back to the Corner 3 on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerrman.
Thank you all very much for tuning into this edition of the Corner 3. I am your host, Austin Oerrman. As you see on screen, hopefully, you can give me a follow at Austin_Oerrman on Twitter. We are moving on from the individual players to look at to the teams. How do I break them down? How do I see it going? This is how. All right, 3 teams for Big Ten champs. Purdue is easy. Talked a lot about them. Incredible offense, much improved defense with a couple of additions. Guys know their roles, superstars in their roles and superstars alike. Really like Purdue. Hate that I like them. but I do. This could be the year for Matt Painter. Michigan, they're relatively deep. They're big across the board, I mean, except for Cadeau. They got some interesting pieces returning to them as well. You look, they get Roddy Gale Jr. back, Namari Burnett back, Will Shedder back, and LJ Kaysen all back, along with, again, Yaxel Lendeberg. Elliot Cadeau comes in. Morez Johnson Jr. transfers to Michigan from Illinois. And Ade Mara, another huge dude from UCLA, is now wearing a different type of blue and yellow. Michigan's going to have positional size pretty much across the board. Will they be able to shoot it, right? Gale, fine. Not great. Cadeau, not great. Lendeberg, not where you want him hanging out, but can stretch the floor. Namari Burnett can shoot it. I think he's a guy that's going to benefit from Cadeau and from Lendeberg pretty big time. Same thing with Shedder. But who's going to step up for Michigan? You know, Roddy Gale, LJ Kaysen, Elliot Cadeau. One of those guys is going to have to put the ball in the basket somewhat consistently. If one of them's able to do it, Michigan's in the conversation. If Michigan struggles to score out of the backcourt, then it's going to be a long year in Ann Arbor. Then I really struggled with this third team. And I know there's separate categories here, but if you're watching on stream, you can see my Big Ten champs and you can see my dark horses here. I went back and forth with this third team. I landed on Michigan State because I trust them far and away the most, because their head coach, because they know the Big Ten, because they know who they are, where I think these other three teams are still trying to find that. Michigan State loses a bunch. I mean, you lose Jaden Akins, you lose Jace Richardson, you lose Trey Holloman, Frankie Fiddler gone, Xavier Booker transfers out, Simon Zapala gone as well. Now, you get Cohen Carr back, right? Freak athlete, freakazoid on the wing. Jackson Kohler and Carson Cooper back. I don't love either of those guys, but they're, I guess, serviceable Big Ten big men who know what Tom Izzo wants them to do, and that's really all he can ask. You do get Jeremy Fears back. He's going to run the show. Going to be good for him. Then you add Trey Fort from Sanford and Caleb Glenn from Florida Atlantic. Those are two guys in the backcourt that are really going to make or break Michigan State's year. If one of them pops, Michigan State can be a 6 seed or better. Both of them pop, you're talking about Michigan State in that same 2, 3, maybe 4 seed conversation. It's going to play fast. The Spartans are going to play fast. They're going to play physical. They're going to get out in transition. They're going to rebound. We know what to expect from Michigan State. It's a pretty darn good strategy so far for Tom Izzo. I won't hate on it. I didn't see the vision for them last year. They paid it off in a big way. I guess I don't actually know everything. Yes, that is news to both you and me. Dark horses. The other teams that I considered here in this spot. Oregon, right? I mentioned Shellstad and Biddle. I mentioned Evans and more, right? Oregon, certainly not a perfect team. They lose TJ Bamba, who I liked. Keyshawn Bartholomew played a role for them. Brandon Angel was pretty solid, had his moments against Nebraska. They didn't add a whole lot, right? TK Simpkins in the backcourt from Elon, Sean Stewart from Ohio State by way of Duke. Devin Pryor from Texas transfers in as well, all kind of bit players. But you get back Nate Biddle, you get back Jackson Shellstad, you get a leap out of KJ Evans, you're cooking. That's a dude at all 3 levels. I was least considerate of Oregon in this dark horses tier. They're probably trending middle for me because I don't love the depth. There's a lot unproven. But man, between Shellstad and Biddle, that is such a good foundation to have both offensively and defensively. You trust Dana Altman to figure things out on both ends of the floor. Oregon's going to probably win 20 games again. They'll be top half of the Big Ten. And if KJ Evans and one of those transfers really pop, I'm looking at Oregon. The two teams I considered more, though, both had pretty big makeovers in their own way. USC lost a lot. Desmond Claude, Wesley Yates, Chibuzo Agbo, St. Thomas, Rashawn Agee, Clark Slakert, all gone from USC. They get Terrence Williams back, but then they add Jordan Marsh from UNC Asheville, mid-major stud, Rodney Rice from Maryland, Ezra Ausar, who was a Nebraska target at one point, goes to USC, Chad Baker-Mazara from Auburn, still somehow was granted eligibility. So the Big Ten does have its new Brad Davison does have its new Jordan Bohannon. Amarian Dickerson from Bobby Moe comes in. Jacob Kofi from Virginia is going to play a big role. Certainly be utilized better by Eric Musselman than I think he was by Coach Sanchez out there at Virginia. The one thing that held me back from USC, though, the injury to Elijah Arenas. Not just the car crash, the smoke inhalation coma situation, but the knee injury. Elijah Arenas is there. He does so much to tie them together on the wing in terms of getting buckets. USC will still be good. They'll still be huge. They'll have multiple ball handlers between Marsh. Rice can do it. Baker Mazzara did it actually quite a bit, sneakily enough, at Auburn. USC is going to be huge. They're going to have positional size. Can they find the right rotation on any given night? Can they shoot it? Those are my questions for USC. I don't have questions offensively about Ohio State. This team is going to be so fun to watch on offense, right? Bruce Thornton back, Devin Royal back, John Mobley Jr. back. That is a heck of a big three to go into a year with if you're Ohio State. Like I mentioned, you add Christoph Tilley from Santa Clara. Everything he's going to do for them, different look, big man compared to Bradshaw and Stewart that they had last year. You bring in Gabe Cupps from Indiana, Big Ten guy as well. Nebraska prep product, Amari Bynum. Don't know how much he plays for Ohio State, but he's on the roster for the Buckeyes this year. Ohio State ends up losing Micah Parrish, who played a big role. Michi Johnson gone. Bradshaw Stewart gone. Keith Glover gone. Evan Mahaffey, pain in the butt, thorn in the side for a lot of Big Ten teams, also gone. And I still have them as a dark horse just because I am not exactly a Jake Diebler believer at this point. He's got a lot more to prove to me. But again, you start with Thornton, Mobley, Royal. You add a guy like Tilley, who I think will fit the Big Ten very well. It was hard for me not to put Ohio State there in the conversation for Big Ten champs. It was just the Jake Diebler factor holding me back. All right, we'll go back to the two categories sandwiched here. Teams on Wednesday, Minnesota, year one of Nico Medved. Brought some interesting transfers. I'm not buying it this year, but I'm really curious to see how that goes for Nico in the Twin Cities. Rutgers is going to be bad. They could not duplicate their recruiting success with Harper and Bailey. They could not dip into the transfer portal and get much of anything going. It's going to be more back to the roots for Steve Pikiell and maybe a bigger comfort level in terms of the style that he's able to coach, the type of players he has, the grit, the grind, the elbow grease, the tough it out, the slow games down mindset. Maybe they'll surprise me and be better, but I still think that Rutgers will be fighting tooth and nail to just make the Big Ten tournament. Same sort of thing for Penn State, a team that, down Ace Baldwin is a problem. I'm an Ace Baldwin dude. He was a stud, but he's gone. Yannick Conan Niederhauser really burst onto the scene when he transferred, and that's great for Penn State, except that he was good enough to be drafted by the Los Angeles Clippers. So he's gone. Mike Rhodes going into year three, really starting from scratch. It is going to be a fun football season in Happy Valley. That is what those fans will be paying attention to. And maybe their baseball team will be pesky again in the spring. Obviously, volleyball for Penn State as well. So, sorry, Mike Rhodes, you got a tough road to hoe in front of you. And then Northwestern. I am not as in on Northwestern this year because I think it's just part of the Chris Collins cycle. They were decimated by injuries last year. Ty Berry, Jalen Leach, Brooks Barnheiser, obviously, as well, all went down with various maladies. Chris Collins is a good coach. I mean, they're going to build a statue for him outside of Welsh Ryan Arena 2.0, as they should. First NCAA tournament win in program history. Collins is safe. He's not going anywhere. But what we've seen from him at Northwestern is there will be a couple down years as he gets a freshman and sophomore class in, gets some reps, lets him play, lets him develop, toughens him up. Then when that core, that nucleus gets to be juniors and seniors, that's when Chris Collins really makes his move. I think we're at the early part of that cycle for the Cats. They'll be pesky. They'll be annoying. I don't think they'll be good unless Nick Martinelli goes full Superman, goes full Jared Solinger, which I don't necessarily foresee. So he's going to put up a lot of numbers. He'll probably be a first team or second team all Big Ten type of guy. Chris Collins is safe. I think it's just going to be a couple years before they're back in that mid-range in the Big Ten. Speaking of the mid-range in the Big Ten, teams that I think are pretty squarely in the middle. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that conversation. Nebraska, until proven otherwise, right? How does rink mastery integrate? Will Nebraska be athletic enough to get stops? Will they rebound? Does the shooting translate? Those are my questions for Nebraska. Washington, I might have misspoke a little bit earlier. I think they'll be my bottom middle, which is a step up from last year. You lose Great Osibor, you lose Tyler Harris, you lose Makai Mason, DJ Davis. Those guys are all gone. You get Desmond Claude. That's huge. Wesley Yates, huge. Kwamari Peterson from East Tennessee State's a 20-point-a-game guy. Jacob Ognjevicic from Lipscomb, 20-point-a-game guy. I really like the Lathan Somerville ad for them in the post. You add a Bryson Tucker from Indiana. That's a Big Ten experience kind of role player for them. And then you get JJ Mandequit, top 50 guy in the ESPN 100. I think he and Desmond Claude together can team up, put up some numbers. Plus, you get Zoom Diallo back at the guard position. That's an athlete and a half. And then Frank Kepnang, when he's healthy, darn good rim protector. Washington didn't have a lot of that with Osibor on the floor last year as an undersized 5. Wilhelm Breidenbach, not exactly the most intimidating figure either. He's also gone from Washington, so fare thee well, old friend. So Washington is at least intriguing. I would bet on them making their first Big Ten tournament this year. How much more than that? NCAA tournament team, probably not, but frisky. Mentioned Iowa a little bit in the previous segment. We talk about players. They lost a lot. They brought in a lot, right? You look at Bennett Sturts. We talked about Alvaro Folgueras from Bobby Moe. Brendan Housen, one of the best shooters available in the portal. Huge for the Ben McCollum system. Tavion Banks follows Ben McCollum from Drake. Cam Menyawu follows from Drake. Isaiah Howard, Cale Combs, Joey Mattioni as well. Not a lot going in the recruiting realm for Iowa. And it's just going to be such a different look. We've gotten so used to breakneck, high-scoring Iowa teams under Fran McCaffrey. And like I said before, it's worth reiterating, Iowa might be just as efficient offensively, but Iowa's going to play slow. They're going to be deliberate. They're going to get to their sets. They're going to run them with crisp execution. They're going to actually try and play defense. Wild. Absolutely wild that they're going to try and play defense under Ben McCollum, but they'll have to. I think Iowa's going to be overmatched athletically, just like Drake was in a lot of ways. But if they execute on offense at the level they did last year at Drake with a lot of the same guys, man, Iowa's going to be at the very least a tough out in the Big Ten. Teams trending down from last year. Not saying they're going to be bad, but just trending down from last year. Maryland, year one of Buzz Williams with Kevin Willard heading out to take the Nova job. I don't think Maryland's going to be atrocious by any stretch of the imagination. But man, you lose Derek Queen and Julian Reese. You lose Jacoby Gillespie, Rodney Rice, Selton Miguel gone as well. Those are all 5 of your double-digit scorers. In fact, it looks like Maryland has an entirely new roster, not a single player returning from last year. So who do they bring in? You mentioned Miles Rice. Intriguing. Elijah Saunders, what can he do unleashed from the Virginia system? Pharrell Payne, former Minnesota guy, went to A&M, put up 10 points and 6-7 rebounds a game down there with Buzz at A&M. He follows his coach. Isaiah Watts from Washington State, intriguing. David Coit from Kansas. Okay, that's a weird one. That's interesting, but worth seeing. And then also from Kansas, Rakese Passmore, jump out of the gym athlete, like top 2% athlete. What's the basketball skill? We'll see. And then what do they get out of their recruiting class? Darius Adams, a top 25, top 30 guy in the ESPN 100. Alex Alston, top 75, 80 guy in the ESPN 100. Can they get contributions from their freshmen? More importantly, will they need contributions from their freshmen? We'll have to see. I think, though, that Adams especially could tie a lot together for Buzz Williams. Then if you're watching on screen, you see the other team in this trending down category is Wisconsin. John Tonje, his 20 points a game, gone. Stephen Crowell on the interior, gone. Klesmet, shooting guard, gone. Kamari McGee, a nice little smart spark plug sometimes, gone. Carter Gilmore, whatever. Xavier Amos didn't live up to his billing. That's a guy Nebraska missed on because Wisconsin ended up getting him. But what do they bring back? John Blackwell, that's big. Nolan Winter, kind of the stretchier big man compared to Crowell. He's back. Jack Janicki, is back. Didn't play a huge role last year. They're excited about him, though. And then what did they bring in, right? I mentioned Nick Boyd, defensive pest, 13-point-a-game scorer at San Diego State. Austin Rapp, 14 points per game at Portland, pretty darn good shooter. Andrew Rohde, that's a 40% three-point shooter from Virginia. Local guy, St. Thomas, I think, at one point back in the day. Braden Carrington from Tulsa for depth, and Elijah Gray from Temple as well. I'm done writing off Wisconsin. I am. I try to do it every year, and it doesn't work. So just because I think they're trending down, I still think that Wisconsin is going to be in that top third of the Big Ten just by sheer force of Greg Gard wanting to spite me alone. They've made that transition from a defense, oriented, execution-based team to playing a lot faster the last couple of years with their personnel. Begrudging props, begrudging respect to Greg Gard for that. Teams with questions. Indiana. How many of their guys translate? Again, brand new team, brand new style. If you look at all the dudes that got brought in alongside Darian DeVries, they will want to shoot threes. Lamar Wilkerson can shoot it. Reed Bailey can shoot it. Nick Doran can shoot it. Tucker DeVries can shoot it. Josiah Miles at North Florida. We saw that here in Lincoln. They can shoot it. Dayton Connerway, he can shoot it. List goes on and on and on. Again, another team that flipped over basically its entire roster to play a completely different style. How will it go? We'll have to see. Again, maybe not the most athletic team in Indiana. Not sure who the primary ball handlers going to be and how they'll hold up to the Big Ten. They should be able to shoot it. Can they defend it? Can they stay in front of teams? We'll see. Illinois. How do the Fighting Illini, the Balkan Illini, fit together? Some of them have played together. They're from similar areas of Europe. But man, that is a big, big bet on a lot of new players. And you lost a lot of talent. I mean, Kasparas Yakushonis gone, Will Riley gone, Trey White gone, Merez Johnson gone, Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn gone. Now, Ivisic and Boswell, really good spot to start. Ben Hummerkus, pretty good returner for them as well. Ty Rogers, I believe, redshirted last year, but played a role in 23-24. That's a big get for them as a glue guy. You get Stojakovic. You get Zvonimir Ivisic to pair with his brother Tomislav, two stretch big men. Illinois is intriguing. They're intriguing again. Probably going to be a pretty good offense with a couple rim protectors and decent perimeter defense. We'll have to see. And then the question with UCLA, what style are they going to play? I think getting Donovan Dent back or not back, but to commit is huge for UCLA. But I don't think they have the same defensive personnel that they did last year. Now, a lot of that was obviously Ade Mara at the rim, but Kobe Johnson would lock you up. Sebastian Mack would compete defensively. Will Kyle, rim protector before he went down with the unfortunate heart issue. Tyler Bilodeau doesn't scare you defensively. Eric Daly Jr.'s fine. Sky Clark, meh. Trent Perry, not really. We know that Mick Cronin is a defense-oriented head coach, right? That's his brand. That's his bread and butter. That's what holds his team together. If UCLA's not good defensively, but they are good offensively, does Mick Cronin have it in him, in his relatively storied, still relatively young career, to make the same switch that Greg Gard did? Not saying he can't, just saying we haven't seen it yet. Guard play will be much better, ought to be much better. Bilodeau and Daly, I appreciate as players alongside Donovan Dent. That's a really good big three as well. But if they're not going to play defense, will they enjoy playing for Mick Cronin? Will things go the way Mick wants it to? I'm not necessarily sold on it. So UCLA, I think there's a pretty wide range of outcomes for them, depending on how much they lock in on that defensive end and how much Mick Cronin can scheme them into good looks down there. We'll go to break. We'll talk some coaches, not nearly as in-depth. Got another 5-10 minutes left here on the Corner 3.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's schwisow.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Rollouts have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Rollouts will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Rollouts make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Rolloffs, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Back to the Corner 3 on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerrman.
Welcome back to it. One final segment here of the Corner 3 for this episode. Maybe you're listening live. Maybe you're listening via podcast. Either way, I appreciate you listening. Feel free to interact with the show, 402-464-5685, or on Twitter at Austin_Oerrman. All right, coaches in the Big Ten. What are we working with? What are we watching this year? I got the intriguing coaches I've touched on quite a bit, so we'll go pretty fast through them here. First and foremost, Brad Underwood, Illinois. A lot of foreign influence on him. Balkan Brad struck early and often this offseason. How does it all tie together? Remains to be seen. Fascinated by it, just not sure. Ben McCollum at Iowa. Obviously, the transition from Fran McCaffrey to Ben McCollum happened this offseason. Both guys preach efficient offense. One of them defense optional, other defense preferred. It's going to be jarring, I think, for Iowa fans to go from the high speed that they played at to playing slow, to seeing a team invested in defense. Not saying it can't work, not saying it won't work. I think Ben McCollum's a really good basketball coach. It's going to be interesting to see how year one goes, if it works right away or not. And then, as mentioned before, Darian DeVries at Indiana. How does his team fit together? How does he adjust to, his third school in 3 years? It's Indiana, right? Not saying, again, that basketball wasn't a big deal for Drake or West Virginia, but it's Indiana. They've been wandering that same wilderness in a lot of ways that Husker football has been. Is he the one, the chosen one, the Messiah, the light in the darkness, the fire in the wilderness that calls Indiana basketball fans back home and gets the in-state talent to stay? We'll have to see. Of course, he's an Iowa guy, a Creighton guy. Both those jobs had some rumors toward the end of last year. He ends up at Indiana, right? Indiana's the destination school. Does he view it as such? Depending on how successful he is, we'll see. In terms of the hot seat, I've only got two guys that might be questionable. I think all the guys that were on the hot seat were fired last year in the Big Ten. I think Steve Peichel, might at least want to check to see if his seat warmer's on. And I think it's a big year for Jake Diebler. I really do. Neither of those are bad coaches necessarily. Peichel, kind of, Greg Schiano of the basketball for Rutgers. Diebler, I have more questions about. He just felt kind of like a generic, bland hire to me. I thought Ohio State could have done better than Jake Diebler when they did. Not bad. Just doesn't necessarily inspire me. And with everything they have coming back in the roster they do, if it's not a second-round team in Columbus, I don't know. If this is a team that's fighting for middle of the pack in the Big Ten with that talent, I really think the alarm bells get louder and the heat gets cranked up for Jake Diebler. Let's see it this year. Dana Altman, what you got? Is there another step for you in Oregon in the Big Ten in year two? How did travel affect you? Can you finish off the year better than you did last year? Fred Hoiberg, how important was rink mass to your scheme? We know on this radio station, on this podcast, we talked a lot about Nebraska, the issues that it faced. How many of them can rink mass solve? How many of them are bigger than him? How many real questions does Nebraska have to reckon with, especially on the defensive end? Kind of the flip side of things for Mick Cronin, right? Are you willing to go all in on this offensive-minded group that you have? Or will you continue to force them to play defense, and how does that work in the locker room? Mick Cronin gave some fantastic press conferences last year. Can he continue as the soundbite, the quote of the Big Ten? Then Eric Musselman at USC. Basically a brand new team. Basically started over from scratch. Got bigger. Got better on the interior. That's another team like Purdue that got shredded on the inside. Musselman went for positional size. He got some shooting. He got some ball handling. How do all the pieces fit together? We know the Muss Bus had a propensity for doing something like that at Arkansas before he went out to USC back closer to home on the West Coast. It worked at Arkansas. Will it work in the Big Ten? I'm not saying no. It's just time to see it, I think, for Eric Musselman. It seems like a really solid group that he has. Coaches with a long year ahead. Chris Collins talked about that one a little bit. I just don't think it's Northwestern's year. I think they'll be pesky, but I don't think they're going to be good. Then we get down to Nico Medved and Minnesota. Again, another team that lost a lot, only brought back Isaac Asuma and Grayson Grove. You bring in a bunch of transfers because you had to. BJ Omot from Cal. Little intriguing. Cade Tyson from North Carolina was a guy that didn't make the transfer splash the Tar Heels fans wanted, and thank him very much for that. Leading scorers that you bring in, Langston Reynolds from Northern Colorado. Now, is he Dalton Connect 2.0? Probably not. Chancey Willis Jr., 17 points a game at Western Michigan. Bobby Durkin from Davidson. Then a bunch of role players around that. Nico's a really good coach, did some really good stuff at Colorado State. Not sure I'm loving this roster for him at Minnesota. How much juice can he squeeze out of it? And then Mike Rhodes and Penn State, decimated by the losses of Ace Baldwin Jr., of Yannick Conan Niederhauser, Puff Johnson gone, Zach Hitz gone, Nick Kern gone, DeMarco Dunn gone. You do get Freddie DeLone, the fifth, back as well, Eli Rice back as well. But again, I think this is going to be Caden Mingo's team. I'm really curious to see if he becomes Big Ten Freshman of the Year, just because he's able to put up numbers on a pretty expectedly bad Penn State team, which brings us to Coach of the Year race. I see it four ways. Greg Gard, can he continue the renaissance? Can Wisconsin continue to challenge for the Big Ten crown? Maybe even take a step forward, be closer than I think 3-4 games back they were last year. We'll see. Dusty May, how much of it comes together for Michigan? Wolverines made a splash last year, right? Single-digit seed, pushed in their first round game by, was that UC San Diego, I believe. It wasn't San Diego. Who was it that Michigan played? Michigan NCAA. I should know this. I feel really bad for not remembering this off the top. Was it UC Davis that they got? No, it was San Diego. I was right. It was the Tritons. I knew it was San Diego. Why do I doubt myself? I mean, that's a really good year in a 5-12 matchup, beginning things for Dusty May as the new guy in the league coming from Florida Atlantic. Dusty May did a great job last year. And then it's the two mainstays in Tom Izzo and Matt Painter. I don't like how Michigan State plays. It does not make sense to me how these teams continue to come together, but it's the Tom Izzo effect. You can't ever count him out of the Big Ten Coach of the Year race. If Michigan State, is still a 4 or 5 seed, I think that's a really good coaching job from Tom Izzo as the twilight begins to come on his career. And then Matt Painter, just like it was the Braden Smith argument, best player on the best team, the coach of the best team is always going to be in consideration. And Matt Painter is an incredible X's and O's coach. He knows how to talk the game to people who ask. He knows how to teach the game to his players. If Purdue, Purdue conceivably, without looking at their schedule, I wouldn't take 18-2 off the table for Purdue in Big Ten play. That's how good I think Purdue's offense can be, how improved I think their defense can get. Of course, we really only have non-conference stuff for Purdue at this point. We got the teams, but not the schedule in terms of who they'll play. But Purdue will have Evansville, Oakland, at Alabama, Akron. They'll play Memphis and then either Texas Tech or Wake Forest. I presume that'd be Texas Tech in the Bahamas. Eastern Illinois, Iowa State comes to West Lafayette. Marquette comes to West Lafayette. Then they play Auburn in Indianapolis and Kent State before getting into Big Ten play for good at the end of December. Auburn, Marquette, Iowa State, Texas Tech or Wake, Memphis, Bama, all on the schedule. Man, that is a gauntlet, but that is an older Purdue team that's played together quite a bit. They know each other. They know their coach knows them. I think the Boilers are positioned to have a big year. So get ready for a lot of Purdue Pete on your television screens. That'll do it for this edition of the Corner 3 podcast. Really, truly, honestly, deeply appreciate each and every single one of you for listening, whether it's been the live version of the show, whether you're catching the recorded show on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or, of course, if you're listening to the podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will continue our conference preview series. Might put up a Twitter poll at Austin_Oerrman. It'll probably be either the SEC or the Big 12 next week. I'll let you take your pick on that. For the crew here at The Ticket, it's Austin Oerrman signing off. Thanks a ton. We'll do it again with Ticket Weekend starting tomorrow.